Welcome back to Hero Movement. Today we're going to go through a stick mobility routine. So all you need is a stick or a broom handle. We're going to open up through the shoulders, the thoracic and the hips. Hope you enjoy. So we're going to start with some partial shoulder dislocates. You have the hands wider than shoulder width. You might be able to have them a bit narrower than me. Keeping the arms straight, I'm going to perform some nice big circles from right to left. It's trying to maintain a little bit of activation through the core as well as through the midsection to keep the ribs down, stop them from flaring. It's a nice big stretch through the front of the shoulder, the lats and the pecs. And then the same the other way around. So nice big circles, again trying to keep your arms as straight as possible and the hips facing forward. A little bit of rotation through the thoracic, but most of the focus is on the shoulders. Then go for some full shoulder dislocates. So you might have to go a little bit wider for this. You may be able to go a bit closer. So again, trying to keep the ribs down. We're going from shoulder flexion into shoulder extension, and then extension into flexion. From the side here, see I'm trying to keep my arms as straight as possible and trying to keep my ribs down and my glutes a little bit active too. Nice big stretch through the shoulders. Don't force it if it's not happening, just go for a slightly wider grip. Go into some Cuban rotations now, so you can see I'm keeping my elbows high, a 90-degree bend. Then we're working on external rotation with the stick coming behind my head, and then internal rotation with the stick coming down towards my midsection. So really trying to not allow the shoulders to internally rotate as we go into internal rotation, which doesn't make sense, but it kind of does. Try not to round forward. The next one we're going to work on external rotation. So you're grabbing the stick by the end, allowing it to rotate outwards, and then pull it under, a little bit of assistance from the other arm to work on external rotation. You could pause this and re-watch it and slow it down a little bit. It's a little bit tricky initially, but once you get used to it, it's fine. So you're only using a little pull from that opposite arm to work into external rotation a bit more. You can also lean your neck to sideways flexion towards the other shoulder, just to open up through that trap a little bit more. Then gonna work on thoracic rotation. So I just have the stick out in front of me, and then I'm guiding it across my body with my arm extended. I'm also bringing my hips into it a little bit too and coming up onto the toe of the foot that is driving that rotation. So you get a nice twist through the mid-back. Some activation of the glutes, and we're working through the hips too. Then going to work on just a basic hip hinge or a Romanian deadlift. So we're tight through the core, we're sending the hips backwards, and then a slight bend through the knee. So we get a nice stretch on the hamstrings. It's keeping the shoulders packed as well, so back and down. So the scapula are retracted and depressed. Squeezing the shoulder blades together, and just allowing the hips to go back and really opening up through the hamstrings. So a wider grip now, we're going to go overhead and work on some overhead squats. So you might not be getting quite as deep, but that's okay. Just trying your best to keep your torso upright and going as deep as you can. You could use a chair behind you or a bench to squat down to. Just doing your best. Trying to keep your chest lifted and open. So I'm going to come down to the floor now and start opening up the hip flexors. So with the right leg back, we're going to use the stick and rotate towards your left side. So we're getting a nice thoracic rotation, nice and gentle here. It's nothing too taxing. We're really trying to keep that right glute active and active through the core. It's as if there's a string up through the top of your head pulling you upwards. Then working onto some side flexion. So I'm holding the top of the stick and leaning over towards my left leg as I allow my hips to come down and forwards. So this is quite an intense stretch. The stick just gives us a little bit of support as we go in and out of it. It's really opening up through the right side of the body, through the lats, and also the hip flexor. That's really good. Keeping that right glute active. And then we will come over to the other side. So right leg is forward this time. We're leaning forward and down, and then rotating to your right side. So keeping the left glute active. This is going to protect the lower back and ensure that we're rotating mainly through the thoracic spine, the mid-back, which is where we want to target. It's where we often get quite stiff. Then same again, reaching up and over. We're leaning to the side as we allow the hips to come forward and down. So again, this is an intense stretch. You might find, or you'll probably find, that there's a difference on one side to the other. This is my weaker side. You can see my left arm isn't quite as straight. It's just working wherever you're at right now. That's completely fine. Nice. So go onto your knees now into a child's pose to finish off. So allowing the shoulders to relax, the mid-back. If you want, there's an option for a modified child's pose to get a bit more of a stretch on the lats. So you're using the stick to elevate the hands and then sinking the chest down. We've got the tailbone tucked under, so we're not flaring, we're not overextending at the lower back. And just breathe. Nice big deep breaths. Thank you for practicing. Hope it was useful. If you're still here, then let me know how you got on in the comment section below. And feel free to like and subscribe. Take care and have a healthy, heroic week.